The arena was electric, pulsing with an energy that only a fight of this magnitude could generate. Every seat was filled, every pair of eyes locked onto the two men standing across from each other, the octagon between them, an unyielding battleground. The world had waited for this. A fight between two of the most dangerous heavyweights to ever step into the cage. One, a legend who had dominated for years, defying odds and rewriting history. The other, a rising force with the power, speed, and technical brilliance to challenge the throne. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, an inevitable collision of greatness. The crowd roared as Jones took his first steps toward the cage, his expression unreadable, his movements calculated. The once untouchable light heavyweight king had made the move to heavyweight, silencing doubters with his dominance. But now he faced a different kind of threat. Across the arena, Aspinall exuded confidence. He had bulldozed through opponents with a rare blend of finesse and sheer explosiveness. For many, this wasn't just a fight. It was a changing of the guard, or at least the ultimate test to see if the old king could still rule the new world. As the two warriors stepped into the cage, the tension was suffocating. No fake bravado, no unnecessary theatrics, just two men who knew exactly what was at stake. Jones, the master of adaptation, carried a wealth of experience, a mind that operated like a supercomputer mid-fight, adjusting to any challenge thrown his way. Aspinall, the hungry predator, was faster, fresher, and carried knockout power in every strike. This wasn't just about skill. It was about legacy, about proving, beyond a shadow of a doubt, who was the best fighter on the planet. The referee's instructions barely registered over the sound of the crowd. Every movement was dissected, every breath counted. Jones extended his fingers slightly, measuring the distance, reading the rhythm of his opponent before the fight had even begun. Aspinall bounced on his feet, loose, ready to explode at any moment. The contrast between them was stark one. A man who had mastered every facet of combat over years of war. The other, a man who made destruction look effortless. The moment the bell rang, hesitation ceased to exist. A heartbeat stretched into eternity as the first strike was thrown. Aspinall, quick as lightning for a heavyweight, lunged forward with a sharp jab, testing the range, forcing Jones to react. But Jones, ever the tactician, barely moved, just a subtle slip of the head, just enough to let the punch graze past him. He was reading, calculating, already looking for patterns in the way Aspinall moved. But before he could settle in, the younger fighter blitzed. A feint, a step forward, then a vicious low kick that cracked against Jones' leg with a sound that sent a ripple through the arena. Jones took the hit, but there was a flicker in his eyes' acknowledgement. He knew Aspinall was faster, more explosive, and wasn't going to give him time to establish control. Jones feigned a retreat, hands up, moving just enough to invite another attack. Aspinall took the bait, lunging in with a right hand. That was all Jones needed. Like a predator springing its trap, he ducked under the punch and wrapped his arms around Aspinall's waist, dragging him into the clinch. The crowd erupted, sensing the shift in momentum. This was Jones' world, the grinding, suffocating warfare in close quarters, where he had dismantled legends before. He drove a sharp elbow into Aspinall's temple, then another, before shifting his weight to set up a trip. But Aspinall wasn't just another opponent. Instead of trying to muscle his way out, he twisted with the momentum, countering with a slick reversal that sent Jones stumbling backward. For the first time in years, Jones was the one forced to reset. A murmur rippled through the audience. Had anyone ever seen him off balance like that? Aspinall pressed forward, not letting him breathe, launching a high kick that Jones barely managed to block. It was clear now this wasn't going to be another masterclass in control from Jones. This was a fight where every mistake could mean the end. Then came the moment no one expected. Jones, Ever the strategist, suddenly abandoned his usual patience. He lunged, not for a takedown, but with a spinning elbow aimed to take Aspinall's head off. The strike was perfect, fast, and precise. But Aspinall had somehow seen it coming. He ducked just in time, and as Jones' momentum carried him forward, Aspinall planted his feet and fired an uppercut from hell. The impact was brutal. Jones's head snapped back, his legs buckled, and for the first time in his career, he was in real danger of hitting the canvas. Gasps filled the arena. Had the unstoppable champion finally been caught? Jones staggered, his balance momentarily stolen by the sheer force of the uppercut. A sound, somewhere between a gasp and a roar, swept through the arena as the unthinkable unfolded. He had been rocked before, pushed to his limits, but never like this, never with his legs betraying him in real time. Aspinall saw it, smelled the moment of vulnerability, and like any true finisher, he pounced. A left hook ripped through the air, followed by a right knee aimed straight for Jones' chin. But just as the knee came soaring in, something shifted. Whether it was pure instinct or decades of experience compressed into a single reaction, Jones dipped his head at the last possible second. The knee grazed him, but he had already committed to something else. His hands clasped together, and in one desperate motion, he wrenched Aspinall off the ground. The world seemed to slow as Jones executed the kind of takedown only he could pull off, an unorthodox improvised slam that sent Aspinall crashing onto his back with a thunderous impact. The fight was no longer about dominance, it was survival. Jones moved with urgency, his arms snaking around Aspinall's neck, looking for a guillotine, but the younger fighter wasn't done yet. Using raw athleticism, Aspinall twisted, bucked, and somehow created just enough space to escape. The two scrambled to their feet, breathing heavy, eyes locked. The respect was evident now. Neither man was going down easily. Then, in a moment of eerie calm before the storm, Jones smiled. It wasn't arrogance or bravado. It was something far deadlier, a recognition that this was what he lived for. Aspinall returned the expression with a nod, acknowledging the war they had waged so far. But there was no time for sentiment. The final exchange had to come, and both men knew it. Aspinall threw first a lightning-fast 1-2 combination designed to overwhelm. Jones leaned back, barely avoiding the shots, then countered with a devastating oblique kick to the knee. Aspinall stumbled for the first time. Jones capitalized instantly, spinning, this time not for an elbow, but for a head kick. The sound of impact echoed through the arena. Aspinall crumpled. The crowd erupted in a way that shook the very foundation of the venue. The referee rushed in, waving it off. It was over. Jones had done it again. But as the celebrations began, as Jones raised his arms in victory, there was an unmistakable truth lingering in the air. This wasn't a one-sided reign anymore. This was a war with new kings rising, and for the first time in his career, Jones had truly felt the weight of that shift.